Welcome to American Survival Guide Television with your host, Amber Hargrove.
What's going on, guys? And welcome to get a chance to meet one of the coolest cats I know, great outdoor survivalist, Matt Wright. What's going on?
Hey, how are you? How you been?
I've been really good. I've actually have been just traveling around, staying busy. I've been watching you on your social media and looking at you, and you're still traveling, doing all these crazy adventures. Are we allowed to talk about that?
Some of them we can talk about. Some of them are yet to be determined if we can talk about it. I like to follow the passion and wherever it brings me, and sometimes it brings me to the crazy stuff.
That is right. I mean, it is okay to tell me anything because this is a girl who has seen you naked. I just want to remind you that in the Amazon.
This is very true. We know each other much more than your average person would ever know each other. Once you've bonded through a Naked and Afraid adventure, you are friends forever.
That is true. That is true. So Matt, I'm super excited to have you on here. We have so many fans through American Survival Guide magazine, and they ask about you all the time. And they get to see you grow as a person. You started out just being a big hunter. You make your own knives. You are huge on Naked and Afraid. Is there anything else that you would like to talk about you as a person and why you do this?
I first started out doing the challenge when, oddly enough, when I looked on TV, I was like, you know what? The people look like they're dying. It looks like they're, going through hell. And I thought, you know what? I would like to test myself because, that's the best way we can learn more about ourselves is to push our limits. That is what I try to, accomplish every time I go out on, whether it be a little trip over a weekend or a wild adventure with no clothes.
That is right. That is right. It's a really good point. I remember having a conversation with you about that. And I do believe Fernando was involved. And we were like, what made you want to apply for the show? And for me, it was simple. You're right. The same concept. People are on this show dying, and you want to go out there and be like, I want to push my limits, stripped of everything, just with your skills. And Matt, You were the first one ever to go into the wild and kill a wild boar with your bow. It was intense.
My whole goal was to see if I could thrive, and pushed it. And it was a tough goal because if you try to thrive in the Amazon, for example, it is not easy, as you know very well yourself. And so going out against that wild boar, stripped of everything, was a sort of a bucket list dream that I wish I would have wore clothes for. But at the same time, it was incredible, and it showed me right then that that passion I've been following since a little kid to go out and hunt, learn the animals. It paid off, and it was delicious.
That is right. That is definitely right. And also, one thing I remember is when you got the actual pig itself, I remember you coming back, and then you started to complain about your foot. And out of anything anybody could ever expect in the Amazon, you ended up having a flesh-eating bacteria on your feet. It was horrible. Yeah. Tell me about that.
Yeah. That's one of those things. I get out there, figured out how to hunt the pigs, and I was like, oh, this is it. I'm not going to be hungry. None of us are going to be hungry. We're going to be fat by the time we get out. And all of a sudden, something as small as like a little cut on my foot started burning. And I remember sitting there like looking at my foot thinking, is it on fire? Because it burns that much. And I just like, this is a new sensation. I haven't had this before. But I figured, it'll go away. But as you know, for long I was unable to walk right, and that I was going to find out it was a very rare, lucky me, flesh-eating bacteria that was attacking my foot, and had to get rushed out to a Ecuadorian hospital. I learned later I was 36 hours away from losing my entire foot, which is the reality, as much as you can get it.
That was one of the things that, for me, I remember you telling me this story, that the one thing that kept feeding you every single day. Do you remember that?
That kept what?
What they kept feeding you every day in the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
And you were like, where's the food?
I get to the hospital, and I've been eating well. I've been eating jungle pig and fish in the Amazon. And I get to the hospital, and they give me my first plate of food, and it's chicken feet in broth. Not chicken feet noodles, not chicken feet in broth, which I thought was funny because here's a chicken feet that look like they're rotting, and here's my foot that's like rotting. And I thought it was a joke until I learned for 8 days I would eat nothing but chicken feet soup. So that was it was not a lawyer funny joke at the end of that, but it was comical, and I'm not sure it was a superstition to give the guy with a rotting feet. I'm not sure it worked. After a lot of antibiotics and chicken feet, I was able to save my foot.
That is right. You are one tough cookie, I can tell you, Matt. I've seen you in your highs and lows, and you have always succeeded with your passion and drive. And I watch you now, and you actually take people out and go hunting. You teach them how to hunt. Is that what you do with your business with Brooke?
Yeah. So my business, Extreme Instinct, is where I take people out and I show them a lot of the survival skills that you would need, but also like how to essentially master the hunting, the trapping, the thriving section of the survival. And then we just recently branched out, I should say, and I now have my captain's license down in Florida, where I take people into the ocean and into the bays and teach people how to survive on the coastal environment, as well as they can go out fishing and spearfishing and do some normal things. But that way now we're conquering 2 different environments: the swamps and the islands of Florida and the mountains of Colorado here. So that'll be about half the year for each one, and that's exciting new change that has started already.
You know, it's really exciting because I look at you and what a strong man you are, and they say there's always a strong woman behind them. And I do know that your wife, Brooke, has been on Naked and Afraid, has dominating it. She grabbed the bull by the horns and said, "I'm Matt Wright's wife. This is who I am." And I was like, whoa. I mean, like, Matt, you really landed a gem there. You really did. It was
very wild. A lot of people ask me, they're like, "What did your wife think about you going on Naked and Afraid?" And I was like, you have no idea. It's like on my first 21 day, I proposed to the cameras. That's how I proposed to her on my day 20. But then I just explained to them, like, she's done the show. After I've had flesh-eating bacteria, I've had scars from venomous spider bites. I've had spitting cobra spit in my eye. She still decided, I want to go do it. And she's crazy enough that she wanted to test that out, and she wanted to feel what it was like herself. And because of that, we're bonded even more. And at some point, I think we probably have a adventure in the future with both of us, but hasn't happened yet.
Oh, it is. I'm so looking forward to it. I can only imagine seeing you and Brooke go out there and just crush it. I look forward to coming out to Colorado and training with you to set up some more snare traps, because that's one thing I want to focus more on my training skills. But I've got to ask you, you have all of these skills and these talents. What started you into this? What motivated you to go and do this and be a survivalist?
So actually, like, the very first survival class I ever gave was to a homeless camp along the river. And I was in my early 20s, and I was watching homeless people living along the river, and I thought, they could do better. They can do better than their little boxes that they're trying to hunker down in. And I went out and I tried to teach them essentially the skills that would help them in their survival camp, or homeless camp, I should say. And I would teach them how to catch rats, because they said the rats were destroying their stuff. I'm like, this is how you can catch and kill the rats. This is how you can catch fish. And that, as soon as I did that class, just out of the, kind of from my heart, I realized, there's a lot of people that could utilize that knowledge and find themselves more comfortable out in the wild. And ever since that, it was always been my passion to try to teach. And sometimes, some people want to learn. Sometimes they don't even know they want to learn yet. It's one of those things, like, as you know, if you go out and you really push yourself, you learn so much that will stay with you forever.
Yep. That is a really good point. That's actually something, Matt, I didn't know about you. And I know so much about you, literally, like hours of talking in the middle of the night at the Amazon, coming up with a recipe book that we thought was amazing. I mean, this is quite entertaining. But and also, so what is the next step in your career? What is something that you would like to do as an outdoor survivalist, hunter, knife maker? What's on the market for you?
That always continuing to grow the business with the knife making, and to really, I'm really, love teaching people. So trying now to where we're going to be actually trying to do survival classes throughout the country and possibly throughout the world. And that way I can reach more people, more audiences, more kids that maybe can't come all the way down to where I'm at. I could maybe figure out how to get up there and teach families and teach groups essentially how to survive in their own backyards if they haven't learned that, learned some tricks already. So that is essentially I think the long-term goal, and every minute of it is a rewarding part.
I really do appreciate that about you. And when we talk about, I just even America in general, we have all these people here who want to be avid outdoor survivalists. Now, what would you say to them to try to get them in the right mind to be prepared for anything? What would you tell them?
I would say that survival starts with everyday life and your mentality, your mindset. You can prepare for anything by literally getting your mind in the right place. And what I always tell people is make every day better. When you're in survival, make every day better. If that's making yourself a pillow or making yourself a pair of shoes or figuring out how to catch a fish so you're not hungry, it's the same thing in real life. And that is to make every day a little better. If you need to make your house a little more comfortable, if you need to figure out how to make your life a little less, stress, it all comes into play. Same with survival, and just make every day a little better, and you can't go wrong. In the end, your life will be, inevitably better.
Wow, I really do appreciate that, because there's so many people that want to get into the field and they're so intimidated by it, and they're like, "Oh, well, you've gone out there and done this, and you're naked." And I'm like, "Well, hold up. We all have a story where we started, whether we worked at a mall or, we just came fresh out of high school. We went in the woods and tried to figure out how to do it." I said, anybody has the ability to become a survivalist. And at American Survival Guide magazine, we're really pushing that. We want them to be prepared no matter what. And when we see your face, I'm like, this guy has been through so much, from, you're right, flesh-eating bacteria on your toe, we just came out, eating chicken feet. I mean, what else can I say about that? To Mary and Brooke, and you guys are the perfect power couple and super amazing. I would love to interview her sometime. She is.
Oh, definitely.
She's definitely the hidden gem in America, is what I like to say. So, but I was wondering.
She's so humble.
Yes, she is so amazing. And she's a great supporter for you too. I noticed that even out of anything you've been through, watching her, she was one of the #1 fans for you. So we appreciate that. But what is one thing you would like to tell your fans out there personally?
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. One thing to tell them all. I would just say follow your passion. Find what you love in life and follow it, because that is literally the most important thing in all our lives, is doing what we love. And for me, it was take a step outside and then take a step further. And before you know it, you're going to be walking further, going further in everyday life and everyday adventure you thought possible. And, it's one of those things. You have to be a warrior, and a warrior always going to get knocked down, but you got to stand back up, keep going. And in the survival, you're going to fail a lot, because as it is, it's the nature of it. You fail, but you learn from it. And in the end, keep getting up before you know it, you're going to be a savage.
That's right. I like that a lot. I appreciate you saying that. It's true. I've seen you go out there and dominate any environment. It's pretty impressive.
And I failed a lot. What a lot of people, I think, don't realize is they've watched my my challenges. They've taken these classes from me, and this guy knows all. And I'm like, I have failed a lot. Trust me. You may not see my failure, because I've failed so many times before that by the time I get out there, I've kind of realized how to not fail as much. But it is that failure that kind of taught me what I'm capable of and what is possible, and how to kind of take that on. And so don't be afraid to fail. And, it's got to play, you got to play the numbers game. I mean, I always tell people that if you go for it, you might fail 90% of the time, but 10% of the time you're going to make it. And if you can keep that 10% going, and before you know it, you're not going to fail 90% of the time anymore. And, it's you can't be afraid to fail. That's what happens.
And you nailed I'm telling you, the nail in the coffin right there, because so many people think we can just go out there and make magic happen. And I'm like, and you're so great at starting fires, with your ferro rod. And then you go to a different environment. You go to the beach, for example. Humidity is completely different. You have different material. And then they're like, why isn't this starting? It's like, it's not something where you can read a book and go out and do it. It just practice makes perfect. And you taught me that, Matt, as anything. You're like, just keep practicing. And I definitely needed that at my career. And we appreciate you so much. And we wanted to know, how can our fans find you on Instagram?
And so on Instagram, if you go extreme_instinct, you'll see me on Instagram. And we're going to be very active here in the next about 2 weeks from now. We're going to be kind of building our new lodge I call it, property down in Florida. To where we're going to have a section. We have a section of property that's going to be right there, right there near river where, we're going to take people on, and we're going to be building that and then taking people fishing, taking bow fishing, classes out in the woods and out on the water. And, it's going to be wild, really.
I think that is amazing. If you need extra volunteers, I love fishing. No pressure. I'm in Montana and I go fishing all the time. So when I think about Florida, I think of even some of the pictures that I've seen you with alligators out there. You are definitely an alligator hunter. You're on it.
Oh, I love taking people alligator hunting, and it's every year in Florida they have a statewide kind of alligator harvest program, and because of that, it enables me to actually get the permits to go out and take fans. I've taken now a few different fans from these challenges out, and to watch them kind of get out there and their eyes get big as an alligator is coming into the boat or calling it into the boat, and all they have is a bow in their hands or a spear. It is absolutely incredible to watch that little primitive part of somebody just, open up and take it on. And so far it's 100% success rate every time we've taken someone out. And more than that, it's lifelong, like dream come true for them. So that's a beautiful thing to watch.
That's what I love talking about. So if you guys are interested in learning how to be a survivalist, or even go to Florida and do some alligator wrestling, wrap him in that boat, make it happen, bring out the primitive side, Matt Wright is your guy to go with. You guys can find him on Instagram at extreme_instincts. And I am going to volunteer to go during alligator season, Matt. I will be there to support you, and I am excited. So, all right, guys, Amber Hargrove signing off with Matt Wright. Thank you, brother, so much for being on here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate you so much. Looking forward to the future. So you guys stay tuned. We'll keep you updated.